Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Australia press conference with head coach Eddie Jones to my left and captain David Porecki to his left. Eddie, would you like to start with a few comments?
Firstly, I'd just like to apologise to all Australian supporters. A lot of people have travelled here. I'm sure a lot of people have stayed up late at night, and our performance wasn't up to the standard that is required, and I apologise for that. I take full responsibility for it. We're disappointed. We've got a young team in there who's very disappointed. They tried their hearts out, but unfortunately at the moment we just don't have the consistency in our play to put pressure on teams like Wales. We do some good things and then we fall away. It's very disappointing. But congratulations to Wales also. I thought they played a good, tough game of rugby. They kick well, chase well, and they had a couple of opportunities to score tries, which they took. So well done to Wales.
Thanks. So if you could raise your hands for the first question, please. Yeah, on the right, thanks.
Eddie, are you still fully committed to this Australian project?
Yeah, 100%.
How? Why? Do you feel that way?
I came back to Australia to try to help. At the moment, I'm not giving much help, am I? But that doesn't mean my commitment to help them has changed. I'm a proud Australian. I hate to see Australian rugby do as poorly as we've been doing, particularly under my reign. Came back to want to try to help, but there's not only the Wallabies we've got to improve. We've got to improve the whole system of Australian rugby, and that's not an excuse. But we've got to have a really good look at ourselves and see what we've got to do to improve the way we're going about our rugby.
Next question. Yeah, here in the front, and the next one will be the back row.
Sorry, Eddie, just to go through it and then move on from it. Did you do a job interview with Japanese rugby a couple of weeks before the World Cup? And if so, what was the thinking?
I don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Hello, Eddie, from Rugby Click, Argentina. Do you think that the experience worked against to Australia today?
Can you say it again, please?
Do you think that the experience worked against Australia today?
Look, it's a good question, but I don't think you can ever use experience as an excuse. Sometimes some teams become experienced really quickly, and when you've got a team like we've got at the moment. You just need a period of play or a period of a game to go well, and the team can change very quickly. And at the moment, we've got the inability to do that, to put together phases of play that are good. So the players, because they're young, and they tend not to stick at it, and it's not because they don't care, and our effort just drops off a little bit. So. I'm not sure whether we can use experience as an excuse, but it's definitely part of our issue. But the only way you get experience is by playing these games, and sometimes, games like this are the makings of a good team going forward.
Eddie, the worst World Cup defeat, by statistics anyhow, can you explain why you think you are the best person to continue leading the Wallabies forward?
Well, that's not my judgment, mate. That's the judgment of Rugby Australia.
Are you able to explain why you think you are the right person to continue?
I think I've got the ability to turn things around. I was hoping we'd be able to do it by now, but we haven't been able to. And as I said, I take full responsibility for it. I haven't done a good enough job. And I'm bloody disappointed about that, mate.
Eddie, do you think that you got the selection wrong, like in terms of the inexperience that the players had out there?
Well, I was put in this job to turn Australia around. And I don't think I could have done it with the players that had been playing. I think we needed a fresh change. And sure, you know, young guys struggle in the environment today, but unless they get that sort of experience, they're not going to mature in the players they can be. Like this is the most painful time, don't get me wrong, but it's also the best learning time for a young team and young players. This is where they really learn about the game and learn what you've got to be at test level. You look at what Wales did today. They just continually put the ball in the air, chased hard, created penalties, one maul try, one set-piece try, one chip kick try, and it's a 40-point win. And you've got to be able to stick at the game and do the things you're good at, and we're not able to do that at the moment. But these experiences are absolutely the most valuable. There's not a team I have in Cage that hasn't gone through this before at the start of their tenure. And it just happens to be quite a big environment to do it, which makes it not reasonably painful, very painful.
Eddie, do you have a second interview lined up with the JRFU?
I said I don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Can you give Wallabies fans your absolute 100% commitment that you will not be coach of Japan next year?
I'm committed to coach Australia.
Next year?
I'm committed to coach Australia.
That doesn't sound very definitive, Eddie.
Thank you. Next question, please. We said one follow-up. Any further questions? Okay, one here, and then second over there.
Eddie, it was nice to see shake Warren's hand at the start of the match. Have you had a chat with him afterwards, and did you say anything?
I think he's probably enjoying a Asahi beer, knowing Warren. No, we had a quick chat at the start. He's obviously come back to Wales. I've come back to Australia. We're just comparing notes. His notes are a bit better than mine at this stage.
Any dinner plans tonight?
No. I don't think I'll be going out in Lyon. I don't think it'll be a good place for me tonight.
Yeah. Owen, did you have a question? Yeah. Thanks.
Question for Dave, if I can. Dave, this morning a story was printed that was very well sourced about, as you've been hearing about, maybe Eddie joining Japan next season, next year. He's already said it's not going to happen, but I just wonder, from the point of view of your team, what kind of psychological impact did that have on you today? Did you talk about it at all? Did you know about it? I mean, I guess that's the kind of thing when your back's against the wall, you need to put in your ultimate performance. It can't have been helpful.
No, I don't think many of the boys were aware of anything, to be honest. We've had a good week prep, probably our best week of prep, and we didn't turn up tonight. So it's got nothing to do with the outside noise. It's just got to do with our performance. We weren't good enough.
I really take umbrage at the questioning, that people are questioning my commitment to coaching Australia. I really take umbrage at it. I've been working non-stop since I've come here, and I apologise for the results. I keep saying that. But to doubt my commitment to the job, I think, is a bit red hot. So we're not going to deal with any of those questions any further. So I'm happy to talk about Wales. I'm happy to talk about Portugal. If you want to keep going down that line, I'll excuse myself. So do you want to decide what you want to do?
Question on tonight's game?
Eddie, in terms of the young players and the inexperienced players you're talking about, the last 2 weeks, 2 losses, have you seen things, and are there players that have, despite the results, made strides in the last fortnight?
Massively, mate. If I look at Angus Bell, just in the forward pack, Nick Frost, Tom Hooper, Fraser McGwright, Valentini, they're not at their best at the moment, but they're really making good progress. And then you got Mark in the back line, who's making some wonderful progress. So, there's a core group of players here who are going to be really good players, and I think, some of those players I've just mentioned in time will be world-class players, and they'll be the backbone of a very successful Australian team. I've got no doubt about that. You know, they're talented players, and now they're learning how to work harder, how to be more consistent in their preparation, and they're going to be fine players. You know, what Nick Frost's done in the last 2 games as a second rower, I think, you know, he's going to be a very good player.
Yeah, just 2 rows in front, yeah.
Eddie, you're talking about, I guess, regenerating the team now and 6-year plans to win the World Cup and a young team. But do you feel like you maybe set the expectations a bit high initially with the Australian public, with smash and grab campaigns and being able to win the World Cup? Was that a realistic sort of thing to say?
Well, I wouldn't care what team I took to the World Cup. If I wasn't thinking that I could win the World Cup, I wouldn't bother going. So, you know, I'd prefer to have high expectations, and then when you fail, at least you know, we've been setting our goal to win the World Cup, and we're not good enough. That's okay. That's okay. As long as we keep working hard and keep trying to improve, and we are every day. We're working hard to get better, and today was you know, one of those things where unfortunately it doesn't go on a linear line. It doesn't go like this. You got some downs and ups and downs and ups, and we'll continue to have that for a while. I've got no doubt about that. But what we are seeing is a group of young players who are going to be the backbone of a very successful Australian team.
Thanks. We have time for final 2 questions, which is one here and second one there. Thanks.
Dave, what, on behalf of the players, like, what do you have to say to Australian fans about that performance and the World Cup, I suppose, in general?
Oh, we apologise. You know, we let ourselves down. We let Australians down, but we will bounce back, and yeah, we shift our focus to next week and earning a bit more respect back through our performance. But it just wasn't good enough tonight. Everyone's gutted. Yeah, didn't have too many words to say after the game, to be honest. It was frustrating.
The final one on the right.
Eddie, your appointment was obviously big news in Australia. A lot of upheaval had to happen for it to take place. I mean, now that you've just lost what you said was a do-or-die game by a record margin, I mean, would it be fair for people to suggest the experiments failed?
Well, I can't really judge on that, can I? Because whilst, like, whenever we start a job, we want to win games straight away and we want to create the best team we can. But there is a process involved. And as soon as you start talking about a process, people think you're trying to take pressure off yourselves. And that's why, you know, specifically going back, I wanted to say we wanted to win. We want to be the best we can be. But I took the job understanding there was going to be a process to rebuild Australian rugby and rebuild the Wallabies. And a process, unfortunately, takes time. It takes some pain. Sometimes it takes more pain than it does pleasure. But I've got no doubt what I set out to do, whilst it looks at the moment like it's a shambles, I can guarantee you it's not. You know, there are things afoot that will help change Australian rugby, which is not for me to talk about, but for other people, for Rugby Australia to talk about. And I've got to coach the team better. There's no doubt about that. You know, that's not good enough tonight. And I'm responsible for that. But we've got a process in place.
Eddie, David, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.